I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. How are you? This show's gonna be a dialogue, and here's what it's gonna consist of. Hey, how you doing? And then I'm gonna wait about 45 minutes for you to answer, because I can't hear you. And then I'm going to go, that's interesting. Here's how my week went. And then I'll tell you all about it. So get ready for 45 minutes of dead air. You ready? How you doing? That's not dead air. I don't know what you're laughing at. Coming to you live from the house of Lily. And it's exciting. She's here. Here's, you know what? I'm driving here today, and I call her up, and I'm like, hey, I'm almost there. And she goes, okay, I'm going to leave the door open for you and just come in. And that's a crapshoot at Lily's house. That's a dicey proposition. I got no interest in that because I still knocked because Lily's like, she's a burlesque dancer. So Lily is consistently, she's a fuck it away from being naked at any point, wherever we go or whatever we do. And so the last thing, and she doesn't, but the thing is, it's not even like, hey, I'm going to be naked because it's outrageous. It's I'm naked because that's what I do. That's kind of my job. So the last thing I'm going to do is walk into her house unannounced because I'm going to walk in and she's, gluing pink rhinestones to her nipples and going, hey, what do you think? Wow, I think I should have fucking knocked. That's what I think. Because she's a burlesque dancer and we're friends, but then I wind up going to her shows and then she's naked and that's awkward. I'm not going to lie to you. It's awkward then, it's awkward now, it's awkward in between. It's just awkward, when you're like, and I'm with Karen and I'm like, hey, Lily's kind of naked. That's our friend. Very odd. And then they're trying to talk my wife into it, and which is, into either, doing pickup for the burlesque thing or to dance. And I'm just like, yeah, part of me thinks that's great, and part of me thinks that would be the last time I ever saw my wife. I would just be like, wow, you're good at this. You know what? Go forth. Run free. Go ahead and do this for the rest of your life, and I'm going to take off because I can't possibly be the husband in the shadow of your naked breasts. Not even that I want to be in the shadow, but just that I can't. I don't know. I don't know how I would do with these with lecherous dudes staring at my naked wife. I don't know how I would do with it. I talk a good game, and it sure seems great. But as we've heard from previous stories, when Horsecock Dwayne showed up, things change. Things get a little iffy. When I see Lily posing for pictures with guys with her tits out, all I can think of is her husband wanting to massacre everybody in the fucking room, and I'd be right there with him. I'd hold his coat. Certainly, I'd do that at least. If he decided to just fucking go bananas on everybody, I would certainly hold his coat in that instance. If not, joined him in buzzsawing through a bar. That's my CD, by the way. Buzzsawing through a bar. That's what I'm gonna name it. I don't have a CD. I don't have anything. I don't have a career. I have had a bad week. I have a tough week. I had some stuff lined up that fell apart, and that not good. Always bad when your future is affected by things that fall apart. I can't go into specifics. I cannot go into specifics, folks, but I can tell you that it was bad. All right, so what can I tell you, folks? What did I do last week? I thought last week's show was going to blow, by the way. Let me go ahead and drop that on you. I was not happy with last week's show. I wasn't feeling it. I wanted to kind of get out of it. I do this thing. And I've talked about this before, too. I'll be really funny, and an hour later, I have no idea that I was funny or ever funny or if I could ever be funny again. And I need to stop that, especially for someone who wants to have a career being funny. That's not good at all. You got to have some sort of swagger, and you got to walk around thinking you're good at this. And again, I'm not appealing to you guys to write me notes and go, oh, my God, you're so good. Who cares? All right, because I know I'm good. I know I'm fucking hilarious. But at the same time, then when you lose touch with it, and you'll get energized. Like when the Sarah Palin thing happened. Man, was I energized. I sat down with a pen and just kind of started writing stuff and writing. And then realized, hey, this is 2008. You could probably type this. So then I said I should go ahead and type this instead of writing it out like I'm in 5th grade. And Mrs. Shong is there going, hey, why isn't your homework done? And I'm going, I don't know. I was double promoted and I'm lazy. So Mrs. Shong used to call me Mr. Schmidt. She was my teacher, Miss Shong. Miss Shong was my 5th grade teacher. And she would call me Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schmidt all the time. And I would never turn in work. I was lazy. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Because in 5th grade, it started that early, folks. Let's put it that way. It started that early that I was not interested in having a work ethic or getting anything done. And the fact that my parents were off either getting high or dying, that was probably not going to snap me to attention at any point. Although dying later. But anyway, so one time in 5th grade, I did my homework. That's right. One time in 5th grade, did my homework. And Miss Shong would always walk around and ask people the answer or ask for their assignment, that kind of thing. And she would always say, Mr. Schmidt, and I wouldn't have it. And I would have to put on some song and dance, not unlike this show, to try to get out of whatever was going to befall me. And finally, I did my homework, and she passed me up. Didn't even come to me because she figured it was Boyle Cries Wolf. She figures, what, this guy doesn't have it. He's never had it. Why would I embarrass him anymore? So Miss Shong walks right by me, and she finishes, and then she didn't even ask for my homework. That's how bad it was, folks. She didn't even ask. Like, are you done? No, she didn't even ask. And I should also mention, by the way, that I would get A's on every test because I was that guy. I wouldn't do any work or any homework, and then I would get an A on a test because for some reason I could remember stuff. I was always the guy who would fight against algebra. I literally was angry with algebra because I'm like, why do I have to show my work? We all know that x equals 18. Fuck you, show your work. I can go right now. I don't need to write out look, x equals 18. We all know it. It's right there. And so I would have me and algebra, and I would go round and round. But Miss Shong in 5th grade, she finally, she passes me up, and I was so flabbergasted, I wanted to say, what about Mr. Schmidt? And so she finished everybody, and I looked up and I said, what about Mr. Shit? And I called myself Mr. Shit in 5th grade. Let me tell you, that is not a good idea because stuff like that tends to stick. And I was lucky because it was like nearing the end of 5th grade and we were all going into 6th grade, and then it was kind of a confluence of different kids. Otherwise, I would imagine I would have been Mr. Schmidt for the rest, or Mr. Shit for the rest of my life, which would have been horrendous. But yeah, I said, what about Mr. Shit? And I could, what? It's weird. Childhood memories, like I think I told you, like the time I had my appendix out and I had a suppository put in, I could still feel it. I can still feel the blushing I did in 5th grade when I said that. I can still feel the heat in my face as everybody started laughing. Even Miss Shong started laughing, and they weren't technically laughing at me. They were just laughing because it was like, what the hell is that? What are you, an idiot? Who blurts that out in the middle of class? And just this intense feeling. It was the first time I was ever cognizant of being embarrassed, I think. And it was just, man, what a weird feeling. So why did I start talking about 5th grade? I have no idea. Lazy. Yeah, no kidding. So this is why I've stumbled into this life, folks. I was in, oh man, here I'll tell you something else. I was in 4th grade, and my older brother is a goof. All right, I mean, and even from the jump, he was a goof back then. Well, we had to walk home together. He was in 5th grade. I was in 4th grade, and my teacher was Miss Jimenez. And I fucked up and had to stay after class or something was terrible. And Lenny and I were supposed to walk home together. So he pops his head into the classroom. Oh man, you know what? Maybe 5th grade wasn't the first time I was cognizant of being embarrassed. Actually, this is the first time. That was the first time I can remember really feeling blushing, and something I had done myself. Let's put it that way. 5th grade with Miss Shong was the first time I was ever embarrassed by something I had done on my own. This in 4th grade was enough to, if this was an episode of South Park, you would have seen Cartman just hit himself in the head, or just go weak. Because I'm sitting there, I'm being held after class, and Lenny and I are supposed to walk home together. And as I've told you, my brother would always sell me out to my mom, or he was never, he couldn't just, God forbid he walk home on his own. I could have gotten home, he pokes his head into the classroom, and it's just me in there with Miss Jimenez. And he goes, Miss Jaminis, what time is Mike going to get to leave? Because we're supposed to walk home together. Miss Jaminis. I mean, I'm in 4th grade. I know her name is Jimenez. Even without her even telling me, I knew it was Jimenez. Because I don't know, I've been reading since I was like 2 years old. I mean, I just, for some reason, I've always had that. Miss Jaminis. How do you look at Jimenez and even make that into Jaminis? I mean, it's like, Like Jimenez, I would imagine you would say, or even if you're just hard J. Let's just go with the hard J. But you destroy the whole thing with Jiminy's? And it was so funny. I'm just sitting there just like, rolled my eyes like, oh, come on. Honestly, you dope. What a dope. All right, how did I get in elementary school? God, I don't know. But yeah, I thought last week's show was not going to be good. I was not happy about it. I wasn't feeling it, and I was not excited about it. And I tried to get out of it. Actually, not try to get out of it, but I would talk and then stop, and I was just like, But then Lily, thankfully, was able to surgically fix it for me and take care of whatever she had to take care of, or else you would have heard a lot more, I'm sure, bad nonsense. But then I listened back to the show and I was pleasantly surprised. Like I didn't know. I'm thinking, and honestly, it was all saved by the Tool song at the end. Once I threw that in there, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter how bad it is. People are going to get 6.5 minutes of great because this song is fantastic. Because Tool is fantastic. Man, I love Tool. All right. And the thing is, I don't know if you guys do that at your jobs. I mean, I know a lot of comics listen to the show, and also civilians, and I don't know if they're and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, again, we not all comics, but most comics call people civilians because they're not. Our lives are so weird and so different from anything that you guys do. That you're just it's kind of like being in an army. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what, I read there's two things that I read that were comparable to comics. I read Kitchen Confidential, which is a book by Anthony Bourdain. He's a famous chef, and he's written a few books since. I read a couple of them, the Cook's Tour, and he describes life in a kitchen. And talks about the masses, like the customers and stuff. And, that's very much what comics are like. I mean, comics are a closely knit unit, and then they're, I don't want to say it's us versus the audience. I mean, we're all in it together and we're trying to make you laugh. But at the same time, we always talk about killing and destroying, and we murdered, and because, that's kind of what it is. It's us against you guys. Maybe that's just me. Maybe, again, don't go up to comics and go, hey, why do you hate us? They don't hate you. I don't hate you. It's just that we're kind of looking for ways to trick you. Let's be honest. I mean, we're looking for ways to make you do something you normally wouldn't do. Nobody walks around laughing like a jackass all day. We're looking at, Lily does, apparently. Lily raised her hand, which makes me feel great about the show, by the way. I honestly thought it was like genuine responses to what I was saying, but it turns out, no, she's just a ninny. But yeah, Anthony Bourdain, reading that was very much about a close-knit community, and it reminded me of comedians. And also, if you saw the movie Beyond the Mat, which is a documentary about pro wrestling, that is, I was stunned how much it was like comedy, especially in the fact that they would show these like small town wrestlers, or wrestlers going to small towns. I've done comedy in those towns. Like they would go to North Platte, Nebraska, and they would go to Bemidji, Minnesota, and they would show them. They would just, they'd be driving around in their rent-a-car and breathing, you could see their breath, and they're getting ready for the show that night, trying to kill time during the day. Man, I was really taken aback at how much pro wrestling tour is like stand-up. And so, how did I get into this? I had no idea. What the hell's happening to me? Yeah. I'm literally stuck. I don't know what my point was. Was there a point? I don't think there was a point to that. There you go. Comics are like cooks and wrestlers. There you go. That's my point. Take that to heart. Any comics listening, any cooks and wrestlers, feel free to send me emails that tell me how awful I am and wonder why I'm talking in circles. I'm an idiot. All right. My point. Did I have a point? I had a point. Oh, my point was whether people, like everybody does that, where they doubt themselves at work. I think that was my point, right? Wasn't that? I was trying to figure out if, like, because I was talking about comics and civilians. But I do that, man. I'll think I'm funny. And again, I'm not appealing for you to boost my confidence, because it's just, I did a show last week. I did the comedyfilmnerds.com show, and went up and had a great set, and everything was it was really good. And although I cannot tell you how much I was sweating. I don't know what the hell happened. It was like the old days when I was on stage, when I used to sweat like a madman. Like once I got the surgery and lost a ton of weight, I kind of stopped that on stage. I wasn't sweating. I went through a week in Vegas once and didn't sweat the whole time. I was like, this is genius. But now the other night, man, holy God! And the thing is, I had a towel in my pocket the entire time, and I'm pouring sweat. I mean, I'm crazy Albert Brooks broadcast news, dripping sweat all over the place. And I had a towel in my pocket the entire time, but I cannot think of a smooth way to take the towel out of my pocket and mop off my head. So there it sits. There it sits, soaking up whatever possible sweat is on that chunk of my thigh where my pocket lays, as a river runs down my face and makes everybody in the audience uncomfortable every time I say a word with P in it, and it looks like Rocky getting punched. It looks like those slow motion shots of Stallone getting bopped in the head and the sweat flying into the front row. That's what I look like when I'm talking, covered in sweat, and my face is shiny. You know who I look like? I look like John Paragon, which is from a special. He did a special called The Paragon of Comedy. No one knows who this is. No one has any idea. He was Paul Rubin's friend. I'll tell you that. He was John the Genie on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Let's put it that way. That's who John Paragon is. And for some reason, when I was a kid, his special was called The Paragon of Comedy, and it stuck with me. He did a bunch of characters, and one of them, his face was covered with Vaseline. Like it was the sweaty, like it looked like just shiny, and he wore these horn-rimmed, like Buddy Holly type glasses and a smoking jacket or a robe. I forget. I don't even know what the character was. I just remember what it looked like, and I can imagine that's what I looked like the other night with the shiniest head from sweat pouring down my face. And as I'm losing weight in my head, like by the end of the show, I look like the guy who in Beetlejuice who got his head shrunk. I mean, that's how oh my God, brutal. But I did that show. Everything went great. I was energized. I'm like, dude, this is it. You're picking it up, and we're rolling forward, and we're doing more stand-up, and we're excited, and da-da. And by that night, I was back in, inertia and wondering what the hell I was going to do and what was happening. Like I had completely forgotten that I was good at it. Or every time I do stand-up, I go, man, you're really good at this. Why don't you do this more often? I say that to myself out loud. On stage, I'll say it. Maybe that's why I don't get booked, because I wind up having a self-examination right on stage in front of everybody. Man, I'm really good at this. How come I don't do this more often? And they're thinking to themselves, well, because you turn every show into a goddamn therapy session. That's why. Because we came here to hear dick jokes, and you're sitting there self-analyzing yourself in front of everyone. No one wants to see that. Make us laugh, goof. Not unlike this show. As I sit there and talk and analyze myself, and people are like, look, this is not what we bargained for at all. This is a waste of our earbuds. This is, seriously, every time I put in my earbuds, I'm losing a tiny amount of hearing, like a fractional amount of hearing. This isn't worth wasting my hearing on. And when I'm 60, I'm gonna be deaf, and I'm gonna be like, you know what? If I hadn't wasted all those hours listening to Schmidt babble on and on about himself, Christ, I could be hearing shit till I was 62. I lost 2 years of hearing thanks to you, you hump. Sorry. Oh, but so I did the Comedy Film Nerd show, and it went great. Despite the fact that I turned into a before and after picture on stage as I lost 19 pounds talking. That's how stressful it is, folks. I lost 19 pounds talking. It's because I haven't been at the gym, man. I haven't done any lifting. I live under a blanket. I just have crawled into a hole. All right. I need to see a light. Anyway, Comedy Film Nerds was fun. So it was great. And I think they're doing more and more of them. I don't know. All over the place. Coming to a city near you. No, that's not true. But they're going to do a bunch of them, I guess, or maybe once a month. And I'm hoping to be involved if they'll have me. I don't know. As long as I, bring a towel and clean up. Because, man, I can't stress it enough. I got emails about how sweaty I was. That's how bad it was. People actually felt they needed to type, wow, are you okay? Because you look like you were going to faint from loss of salt. I'm never going to lose salt, by the way. I don't care how much I sweat. I will never lose enough salt. Here's what I did one time. I insured this when I was in high school once. I was in high school, and as a bet, here's what Mike Schmidt did as a bet his sophomore year. Mike Schmidt bet that he could drink an entire salt shaker. And it turned into an entire lunchroom of people putting money down. And because at first it was like I was like, well, if I have, it became a philosophical discussion. When you're 14, this is where your philosophical discussions are. You're sitting there and you're saying, you know what? I wonder, why is there even a salt shaker on the table? I mean, we're in high school. Who puts salt on their food? Like, it made no sense to me. I couldn't understand it. And I said, you know what? I should just eat all the salt. Like, I'm going to take all of the salt and just, we should throw it away. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to eat it all. That'll teach them a lesson. I don't know how it evolved into that. And then it was like, you can't eat salt. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can eat salt. And this maybe if I would have paid attention in school, I would have understood what they were saying. But they were saying, like, you shouldn't eat salt, basically. And I said, well, no. I go, it's ridiculous they even have salt shakers out here. This is stupid. I go, I'm going to eat, you know what? I'll bet I could eat a shaker of salt. And the guy's like, there's no way you can eat a salt shaker, a shaker full of salt. I go, yeah, I can. Absolutely, I can. And then everybody started talking about it. And they're like, all right, well, you're going to do this. And I'm like, all right, well, I can't do it now because lunch is almost over. We'll do it tomorrow. So then in high school, all you have to do is give something a day. And then it goes around in this weird, like, all of a sudden it becomes, did you hear? Mike Schmidt's going to jump from the top of the school into a salt shaker. I mean, it just becomes this crazy rumor and story. So we sleep on it. And because I'd done other things like this before. Like one time I had chugged a can of High C. I think I'd mentioned this on another show. I chugged a can of High C. So I was that guy. Apparently I was the sideshow of high school. If high school's a carnival, I was the guy you paid $1 to see eat a monkey head. So I had been in a sliders eating contest. Oh, this is awful. Folks, let me apologize for this story before it even comes out. And that, believe me, that sentence is going to absolutely make sense when I finish this story. I was in a contest for eating sliders, and what they would do is they would have, a freshman against a sophomore against a junior against a senior. That's how it works, and I had to say it that meticulously. So they would have someone from each class go head-to-head. So I was it junior year or sophomore year? I don't remember, but I was entered into the contest, probably because of my history of eating salt. So I get thrown into the mix, and there was a guy, a class ahead of me named Mike Norris, who had eaten over 100 sliders in a sitting once. With my brother Lenny. My brother Lenny and his friends Gar and Norris had gone to White Castle, and I think they ordered 300 sliders after football practice and mowed through as many as they could. But supposedly Norris had eaten like over 100 of them. And, because your bodies are developing, you want to push into limits. That's what you want to do. It's like any great athlete. You're going ahead and seeing what you can go ahead and accomplish. So I had done all sorts of shit like that. So I get put in the slider eating contest, and I'm not against Norris. I'm in my heat, so I don't know if I'm going to get Norris later or whatever happens. So I'm not hip to what you do with an eating contest at this point. And again, sliders are mostly bread. Sliders are, by the way, if you don't know, they're like White Castle hamburgers. They're little tiny hamburgers. So we had to eat 10, and you had to eat 10 as fast as you could. So we sit at the table, and you know what? It was a heat for my class to see who qualified to be in the final for your class. Because I remember I had to go against Jim Utosh, who was in my class. And I'm sitting next to Utosh, and I'm giving him the evil eye, because I apparently, even then, took everything as seriously as I possibly could. I was competitive to the point where I was like, you know what, fuck you, Utosh, I'm killing you in this slider eating contest. And Jim's probably like, yeah, but I'm going to graduate. So, Jim had that on me. So we're sitting there, and I'm literally, like, everybody else is just kind of sitting down, and they're not taking it seriously at all. I'm standing up, and I'm in a sprinter's position. Like, I'm literally, I'm like leaning like this, and I've got my hands out, and I'm leaning over the table over a plate of sliders. And everybody else is, my friends and people are like, this is hilarious. And everybody else is just like, what the hell is wrong with this idiot? So I'm leaning over the sliders, and I'm looking, and I'm actually looking at people, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, that's right, sliders. And I'm going, and they blow the gun or the whistle or whatever, and I just start shoveling food in. So I'm shoveling it in, and I'm shoveling it in. I'm eating, and I'm chewing, and I'm eating, and I'm chewing. And they're going one at a time, so I figured, well, I'll just put 3 at a time in my mouth and work that. So I got 3 in my mouth, and I'm chewing, and I'm going bananas. I'm eating and eating, and I swallow the first few, and then I swallow the next few. And it's working because they've got like 8 on their plate, and I've only got 5. So then I figured, you know what? I'm going to absolutely coup de grace these motherfuckers, and I'm eating all 5 at once. So I put all 5 of these sliders, I'm chewing them one bite, thinking I could one bite swallow. But the previous 5 have dried out my mouth and my throat. So now it's in my mouth, and it's like I'm chewing on a pillow. I mean, it is just this huge, It's a salty pillow. It is just like a big, and I'm chewing on it, and my mouth is full, and people are starting to catch up to me now because they are smartly eating one at a time, and I got a mouthful of goo. Like, I mean, I can't swallow it. It's just, and the thing is, you can't use water. So I'm in it, and I'm like elbow deep in slider plate, and I'm going to work, and I'm just chewing, and everybody's like, "Come on, Schmidt, what are you doing? You're slowing down." And everybody's eating, and they're beating me, and Utah is catching up, and other people are catching up, and I'm finally I do the only thing that I think is going to work. I spit everything out of my mouth. All 5 of these chewed sliders come out. And it's just, everybody just goes, "Oh," because they thought I threw up. But I didn't throw up. It was just like, it was what I was chewing on. And everybody goes, "Oh." And apparently them going, "Oh," and groaning wasn't enough for me. I was going to need more of a reaction from them. So I went ahead and ate everything that I had just spit out of my mouth. Because let me tell you, folks, it was very important that I win this slider eating heat. And oh my God, that was a great album, by the way. Slider Eating Heat. That was from the Allman Brothers back in '72. Eat a Peach, I think, is off that album. Slider Eating Heat. So yeah, I like it. I just kind of spit it out, like, and I didn't like projectile it. It was obvious that I wasn't throwing up. Like, it was a strategy. It was a clear strategy. And I spit it out, and then immediately just like hoovered it right back up. And it was like this noise. Like, everybody just goes, "Oh, oh," and but I won. Because obviously pre-chewed food a little easier to swallow if it's not all jammed into your head. And let's put it this way, not a lot of people shaking my hands after winning that heat. And quite frankly, I'm sure everybody else was like, "Hey, I didn't want to win this that bad." I don't know, but that was me. I was like retarded, like competitive. I was weirdly competitive. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm winning it. I am winning this." Even if I got to bust out a regurgitation move, and did. And won it. And then I think they decided that sliders wasn't a good idea, like the school administration. Because then, now I had advanced. I had advanced in my to the eating finals. And I was in against a guy from each class now was going to be involved at a school assembly. And I had a big school. I had about 2,000 people in my school. So it's in front of the whole school. It was during homecoming week. You had class competition. So juniors against seniors, against sophomores, against freshmen, and they would all, you'd compete in candy sales, and you'd compete in all sorts of things. And the guy, you'd have to build a float. Who cares? So there's this eating contest, and they don't tell us what it is. They just say, there's a contest at the assembly tonight. So they take us aside, and my face, by the way, is painted red and black because, again, I didn't care at all. In school, all I cared about was like the football team and about, the basketball and socializing. I didn't give a shit about work or doing any work. And again, this is why I didn't graduate from high school. I was a guy who just, because they hated the fact that I wouldn't do any work at all. And like I said, then I would get an A on a test. When I was in Mr. Harvey's world history class, and he would do a quiz at the end of every week, like a 15-question quiz. And I would be done with that quiz in 3 minutes. Because I would answer questions as fast as I could write and read. I would be reading and writing the answer and reading to the next one and writing and turning it in. And I would sometimes I would get all 15 right. Sometimes I'd get 13 right, but never less than that. And I would turn them in, and he would just shake his head because he'd be furious at me because I wouldn't turn in any homework. But then every quiz I would get an A. So I wound up getting like a C in that class because it balanced out. Anyway. Let me catch my breath. I don't think I've stopped talking in 9 minutes. I wind up in the eating contest, and I show up, and they, my face is painted red and black, and I'm all Mr. School Spirit, and I'm an idiot. So they put me in like a lab coat. So I'm like, all right, what are we eating? Soup? What the hell's happening here? So we all get put in lab coats, and they take us out to the center, and what it is they take a pint of ice cream, the old school box pints. And they put that in like a pie tin, and they cover it with whipped cream and cherries and nuts. It's a sundae, and you had to eat an ice cream sundae as fast as you possibly could against the other people in the class. And I'm like, well, you know what? Again, I'm standing there. I'm in a runner's position. They've got chairs for everybody, but I am not sitting down. I am far too excited because, again, everybody in the school is there, and they're cheering and they're yelling, and people they're chanting Schmidt, 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 which is like ridiculous. Again. because that's all I care about. I don't care about work or anything. I just care about socializing with my friends and that. And they're like, all right, go. And it was so funny. Everybody just kind of put their face. I had a strategy. That's how sad I am. Everybody put their face like into the sundae and just started to like eat the sundae. I hoovered up all of the whipped cream first. Like I hovered over it and went, like I sucked up all of the whipped cream completely, so that it was gone. Like super fast, I inhaled it. So all that was left was like the brick of ice cream, and then like the cherries and the fudge or whatever. And then I just started eating chunks of this ice cream and swallowing it. Like everybody else is just kind of like they're putting their head up or whatever. I was eating through it like I was Papillon with a piece of bread. I was just trying to do anything. I was like a prisoner of war who had just found a rat with a bad leg. I mean, I am going through it. I am working. Chomp, chomp, chomp. I think I ate it in 12 bites. I mean, I didn't give a fuck about my teeth. I didn't care about the ice cream headache. And when you were done, you had to turn around and run to your class. That was the whole deal. Like, you also because you had to not just say I'm done. And so I went through this quart of ice cream, and I look, and nobody else is even done with the whipped cream yet. And I am just like 1, 2, chomp, chomp, and then I suck up like all the cherries that were left, and I just stand up and I look around, and I'm telling you, the loudest noise. Like I remember now at this point, just from my class, just this weird like. And I just turned around and fucking sprinted as hard as I could and got to my class. And they're not even, again, nobody else is taking this seriously. Nobody else is eating at any sort of quickened pace. They're all just like enjoying an ice cream sundae. But I am out to bury these cocksuckers. I am like, you know what? This is glory days for me. And I won. I don't know. And I won nothing. So what? You won points, and we got the spirit stick, which, of course, I stole. And I framed it, and it's at my house. That's what I do. That's what I celebrate. I have the spirit stick at my goddamn house. So sometimes I'll just have Mex and Dennis over, and we'll stare at it and discuss the good old days. So, and they were good for me, not for them, because they have lives and kids now, and I have nothing. So, but that was, I won that. I won the ice cream sundae eating contest. And I got to admit, it was good to triumph in such a fashion after the slider debacle, which I won, but still did not look good doing it. Because what, part of me is still Sidney Dean. I'm still Wesley Snipes from White Men Can't Jump. I want to win, but I want to look good doing it. So that's what happened with the ice cream contest. That's what happened. I had my red and black face covered in some whipped cream. I got a lab coat on, sprinted off to my friends. Done. Winner. And then, I don't know. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but what the hell? Why not? We're here. I was in a pie eating contest once. This sounds like, it's so funny because now this food, the professional eating league and, the ESPN coverage and the hot dogs and Joey Chestnut and all those people, it's 10 years too late for me. If I had, if I didn't have the bypass surgery, and honestly, I watch those shows and I hate them because I think I said this when I was in, I used to be able to, I can chug beer, and I can chug beer really quickly, but also to me, it's important to not spill any of the beer. I mean, there's nothing worse than chugging against a guy who'll wind up with a shirt full of beer. You're like, dude, you lost. Like, you're covered in beer. The whole point is to be neat and quick. And when I watch these food eating contests and I see guys with, like, food all over themselves, I'm just like, dude, that's not good. Like, I would be the guy who would come in. I would almost be like the British gentleman of the eating contest. Like, whatever it was, like hard-boiled eggs or soup or whatever the hell. I don't know if there's a soup eating contest, by the way. I think that would be a lot of fun. I don't know if it would be, viscerally exciting for television cameras. Just some guys chugging some soup. A soup eating contest would be tricky. Because you're obviously you're picking up the huge bowl and you're drinking the broth, but then you got the chunks that you got to eat through. That's all. You know what? They ought to come up with that. Seriously, a soup eating contest would be good. Because then it's like, that's a true test. Because your belly's filling up with the broth, and then you got to work your way through the wontons. That was a lot of alliteration in that sentence, by the way. Your belly in the broth and working through the wontons. That was nice. All right, I'm a poet. So, soup eating contest would be fun. But I see those contests and I think to myself, man, I should have, I could have been involved in that as a crazy fat guy. But then that's even worse. Just being a fat guy and taking the stage at the eating contest, you have some pride. Seriously, don't do that. Get a job. But then again, it's easy money. I mean, if someone's going to pay you to eat, deviled eggs for, 15 minutes, then do it. Whatever. That's our society. That's the society that's going to elect a woman vice president because she shot a moose. The same people who think, hey, why not have a career eating Pop-Tarts? Yes, of course. That's what you should do. You know what? Colleges should just have an eating major. They should just train you to do it. They should have eating teams. They should just take it, because again, America, we're all gluttons. Everything is gluttonous. Even if you're thin, you're gluttonous in your attitude about the obese. Don't you? Don't you fill up on hating people who are fat? Yes, you do. Suck it if you lie. So, and nobody likes fat people, let's be honest. How rude is that? I'm a fat guy. But as a fat guy, I can say that. Because I'm on the end of it. I'm on the other end of being of the stares and the hatred. And you know what? I'm kind of on board with it. Go ahead. Hate me. Because if you hate me because I'm fat, then you're missing all of the other fine aspects of me, the laziness and the sloth. All right, so so I'm in a pie eating contest once, and again, I'm very big on like I said, being neat. Like I don't like if you're and again, this counteracts the Slider story, but again, that was my first experience in this. This is my first, that was horrifyingly bad. So I went to Knott's Berry Farm with this woman who I was living with at the time. Which I can tell you her husband was not fond of that. He was not happy with our living arrangement. With me hanging out with his wife all day and him going to work and I was at his house. Oh, awful. I am not a good person. So I went to Knott's Berry Farm one day. Knott's Berry Farm is an amusement park here in California. And I went with her and her two daughters. And her two daughters were they 12 and 10? 12 and 11? Something like that. So we went. We were a good family. We wound up going out to Knott's Berry Farm. A woman, her two daughters, and the guy who's banging her on the side right under her husband's nose. That's good. I am a guy. I've worked a lot of married chicks. And that's not a good thing, right? That's bad. When I was in Tahoe, that was our goal. We used to say, all right, look, we're getting married chicks tonight. Like that was our thing. We actually came up with, this is the life of a 20-year-old man. We came up with a fraternity name for it. Pucus Schnatus Flabicus, which meant I fuck married women and I don't shower. That was our motto. Me and my buddy DJ and a couple other guys. That was our motto because we would bang married chicks that we'd find in the clubs. We'd find them under tables. We'd find these married women and work them. All right, so as I slept in my, on DJ's floor, and we had a wall covered in women's underwear. Anyway, so that was the worst. That was your thing. You had to bring home underwear from who you tagged, and then we'd hang it on the wall. And then DJ would bring girls to his room, and there's a wall filled with underwear. And yet, that's how charismatic a performer DJ was in the sack, apparently. He was still able to pull tail with a wall full of strange underwear. Which, by the way, is my favorite place to visit when I'm in Europe, the Wall of Strange Underwear. So, I will go there. I make a beeline for it right off the plane. I get off at Heathrow, and I go to Piccadilly Circus, and I take a left. There it is, the Wall of Strange Underwear. So, I think actually every country has one. I think everywhere in Europe anyway. Here in America, very puritanical. We don't have the Wall of Strange Underwear. However, in Europe, every country you go to, you'll find a Wall of Strange Underwear. So, I would, that was our deal, is we would bang married chicks in Tahoe all the time. And then, like swap stories. Like the next day you'd wake up and we'd all go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and talk about who we nailed. So, and then we'd unveil the underwear, which you had to have in your pocket and pull out and go, ta-da. You actually had to say ta-da and put it on the Wall of Strange Underwear. So, I made a lot of mistakes as a youth and as an adult. So, I'm at Knott's Berry Farm. With this woman who I'm not going to name. Her name is Kathy. Who cares? And her husband's at work. So we got nothing to do all day because, the kids are with us. If the kids weren't with us, well, then we'd be, fucking all day. But now the kids are there. So let's go to an amusement park. Hey, and spend some of John's money. I'm a bad guy. So we wind up going and as we're walking through the park, it's fun. I mean, we're having a good time, because I got along with the kids too. They probably thought, who's Mike, Mom's weird friend who's always here and in our house and then all of a sudden living here. But then we come upon a pie eating contest. And one of her daughters is like, Kathy says to her daughter, she's like, you know what, you should enter that. That would be, funny. Because she was looking for photo ops and, to take pictures of her. And they were like, the cynical kids They were like, no, I don't think so. When you're 12 and 11, nothing's cool. You know what I mean? Nothing any adult is involved in is cool. Anything you go, hey, that would be cool if you did that. Nope, not doing it. I'm very busy being a youth and hating everything. But then one of her daughters said, she was like to her mom, she goes, you should do it. Because they thought it would be funny to make her mom do it. And then then I was like, they're going back and forth. You should do it. No, you should do it. You should do it. And then there's silence. And all of their heads just kind of turn and they look at me. And I go, you want me to do it? And then like, yeah, go ahead. That might be funny. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. So there's a pie eating contest at Knott's Berry Farm. And there's, again, not unlike, it's a little smaller than my previous eating contest experience as far as crowd goes. There's not 2,000 people chanting Schmidt, Schmidt, Schmidt. But it is there's still like 60 people there gathered around a podium with pies. And I go up and I go, I'll sign up. And so I go on stage and it's me. And then there's a couple of kids, of course. And then there's a grown man next to me and another grown man next to me. So there's probably I think there was 5 adults and 5 kids. And I sit down and they put you put a towel on your neck or whatever. And they go, all right, are you ready? And I turn around and I look at this little kid next to me and I go, you're finished. Such a stupid thing to do. That was so stupid. Just when you look back at stuff that you've done, when you look back, oh my God, what an idiot! What a fucking idiot! This is why I'm 41 and I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, because these are the things in my life. Oh Christ! I look at this kid, and he's all happy. We're all happy to be in this eating. It's a night you're out at the amusement park. We're just here to have some fun. And there's a kid next to me, and I turn around, I look at him. You're finished. Oh, I call the kid out. Oh, Jesus, that made me laugh. All right, so just remembering it makes me laugh. Just the look on his face. Just this weird look like, what, huh? Like, are you gonna beat me up after this? I mean, but I thought it would be funny. Like, it wasn't mean, but it was just, it's really funny to me to do something like that. To just, you're finished. Right in the kid's face. So, they put the pies in front of us, and my previous strategy of hoovering the whipped cream is out the window, folks, because this is a blueberry pie. Now, if you know anything about blueberry pie or fruit pie, it's it's gelatinous. I mean, it's like fruit. It's like eating a bowl of glue. I mean, it's like, the crust, and then you got to get through to the fruit is it's just like spackle, but without the really hard parts. So, because we've all eaten spackle, I think we all know about that. So, I look at this pie, and then I just look around. And the you're finished kid is not even, he won't even turn his head now. I mean, like he wants nothing to do with me. He won't turn and look. He's just like, you know what? I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to go ride the salt and pepper shakers because I want nothing to do with this guy. So, again, as you know, I'm very competitive. The gun goes off, bang, and I'm standing up again. Everybody's sitting down and like laughing and like getting pictures with grandma, and I go like I am in the Olympics. First thing I do is I eat all of the crust from around the thing. I go bang, bang, bang. I'm standing up so I can get, all the way to the other side of the pie. I eat the crust all off the top. I don't even mess around with putting, because a lot of people just put their face right in the center. Ha ha, it's all about the cute photo op covered in blueberries. Not me. I'm winning this fucking thing. So I blaze through the crust. So now it's just a bowl of glue. Like, it just, the crust is gone. I've taken the roof off. Now I got to get through this, to the basement. So I hoover up the filling. Like, I'm not going to just like, because you can't eat glue. You can't bite glue. You got to suck it up. So I bite through the crust and I eat it. And then I go, and I hoover up the blueberries till they're gone. I mean, they are gone. Like, I almost made the plate clean. That's how crazy it was. Like, I ate a pie folks. I ate a pie in like 40 seconds. I blaze through the crust. I hoover up the glue. I look around. People are still, I mean, they're not even through the crust yet, and I'm done. So I'm standing up. I stand up, and I look out at the crowd, and I just look down the aisle, and I just go, oh, it's like a nightmare, isn't it? Because that was from Color of Money. When Tom Cruise is winning and he can't stop winning, he goes, it's like a nightmare, isn't it? And it's like, and I'm standing there, my pie's gone. The organizers are just like, what the hell just happened? Because there's still a little crust. Like I left a little bit because I wanted to gloat. I didn't want to just finish it and go, I'm done. I actually stood up and I did it. I looked into the distance, which then later on in my life became the stew look, which I'll explain in a second. But have you ever seen like a battle-scarred warrior standing on a war-torn field, and he stops and he just looks off into the distance as the wind blows through his hair? That's what I did. I stood there and posed while everybody else is trying to eat their pie and laughing and their family's having a good time. I'm standing there with my arms across my chest, looking off into the distance. With and neat. Like I'm not covered in pie. I got pie on my lips, of course, because I had to do the Hoover move. But I'm standing there. I'm clean. I don't even look like I was in a pie eating contest. I look like I might have eaten a piece of blueberry pie, and I got some on my face. And I have dispatched a pie in 40 seconds. And now I'm going to stand there and just taunt. And I look into the distance. And I go, it's like a nightmare, isn't it? And I look at the crowd, and they're just like, so then there's a pocket of people who are like, that was amazing. Like, they're on board. They're stunned by it. Like, even then, they're just looking at me with awe, like, who's this robot from the future sent to demolish pies? And that's what I was, too. I was like, I'm like the Terminator of pies. Like, I would show up, and I would, are you Betty Crocker? Like, that's, come with me if you want to eat. So it's like, but I kill this pie. I fucking destroy this pie. And I mean, you know what? I one-punch knockout this pie. That's what I did. I absolutely one-punch KO this pie. And now there's a little bit left, and I look around, and here's the best part, is I look out, Kathy is just shaking her head like, oh, man, I knew you would do something stupid. But she's still laughing like she thinks it's funny. But, because you have to admit it's funny. I'm standing there. First of all, I taunted the kid before it started and then backed it up and cleaned house on like 20 people who were just out for a fun day at Knott's Berry Farm. I assassinated them in a pie eating contest. Massacred the whole lot of them. Just like left bodies in my wake. But not only is Kathy laughing, this is the best part. Cynical, crazy, nothing is cool, 12-year-old and 11-year-old daughter, children, could not stop laughing. Thought it was the greatest thing they'd ever seen in their lives. Because kids that age are so used to being treated like kids, but they want to be adults. That's the secret with getting along with like any kid between 10 and 14. They want to be adults so bad, and they haven't grown into the cynical teenager, I hate everything just yet. They're in a limbo. So if you treat a kid like that as an adult, they're going to love you forever. And for some reason, they recognized the adult moment of me being a child in front of everybody. I don't know what it was, but they were practically laying on the ground holding their bellies laughing at how ridiculous it was. They got the foolishness of the situation. And so then I looked over at the kid. The kid was still eating, and I looked at the other kid, the man, because there were two men. And I leaned over to this guy as he's eating, and I just go, I'm done. I stop looking, and he's eating. He's like, he doesn't care. Nobody cares. But I care because it's funny to me. And I lean over. I've got just like a little pie on my face. I finished the rest of it. I put down and I ate the crust. And I lean over and I go, I'm done. To the guy next to me. Oh, it was gorgeous. It was the fucking best. And I came off, and like I said, the two little girls then when I came off the stage, because and by the way, you know what I won? Jar of blueberry preserves. Because Knott's Berry Farm is like famous for their jellies and stuff. I got like a blue ribbon and a jar of blueberry preserves. I don't want to eat blueberry pie for the rest of my life after eating one in 40 seconds. But that was the ironic prize. Like they should have just given me a pie. Like that would have been even funnier. Christ, I wish I had a videotape of it, though. I mean, I wish I had some record of it just to look at that kid's face to see him you're finished. And then to stand up, to taunt, to pose, and then just go, I'm done. Like right in the guy's face. He's still eating. His children are there. I took his manhood. I took your pie-eating manhood in front of your whole family. Suck it. You know what? You're not allowed to eat pie ever again. I'm not even talking about eating pie for speed. You're never allowed to eat pie again. Because I just fucking destroyed you. You know what I did? I'm like the Predator, dude. I ate a pie, pinned you down, and ripped your spine right out of your back. And now I hold your disembodied skull over my head and I taunt you with it. I'm going to eat pie out of your skull, you fuck. I'm going to fill your skull with pie and go to work. Take that. That's what it felt like. It was so funny. All right. Yeah, so I've done that. Stupid shit like that is hilarious to me. It is hilarious. I would do it now. All right. What? How did I get on that? Oh, here's Lily. Like she's trying to pretend like she's not involved. She just mouthed the word salt, which is true. I knew it. It's because, all right, so I was in high school, and I'm just going to go into this. How sad is that? How do you follow the pie story? I shouldn't even tell it. That pie story was genius. I forgot all about that until just now. Oh, I'm going to eat pie out of your skull. I want a hat that says that. I'm going to eat pie out of your skull. You can buy those hats. You can go to those, those stores have the place where you can buy a hat that says something. I want a hat that says that. I'm getting it. I wanted a hat. Here's the hat that I wanted. This is funny. I wanted a hat that said "fuck chick hoop" because I'm not a fan of women's basketball. Maybe you are, and that's great. Maybe you enjoy seeing the 20-foot set shot. Maybe you enjoy watching women play basketball from the 50s. That's fine. But I'm not a fan. It's not something I enjoy. So I wanted to get a hat that said "fuck chick hoop" for the longest time. I wanted to get it. And I went, when they came up with these embroidery joints where they would make hats, I went to a place. I go, you make a hat that says anything. They're like, we'll make a hat that says anything. I was in the Mall of America. And I said, all right, I want a hat that says "fuck chick hoop." And this guy, he was like a 22-year-old kid. He's like, what? I go, yeah, it's like, I don't like women's basketball, and it's like a joke with some friends. It's an in-joke, and so I want a hat that says "fuck chick hoop." And he goes, all right. And he was going to make it. And then the guy who ran the stand said, no, you can't do it. Because we're at the Mall of America, and the guy was afraid I would wear it around the mall. And I go, look, I'm not a psychopath, who's out to start fights with women's basketball fans. It's an inside joke with some friends of mine. And he's like, look, I can't do it. I go, I will promise not to wear it. I go, honestly, you could staple the bag shut. I don't care. I go, and you know what? I understand now where the guy's coming from. At the time, I was furious because that's me. I'm Mr. Furious who gets angry. Not the mystery man, Mr. Furious, but that was it Ben Stiller was Mr. Furious in that movie, right? Wasn't he? Sad. Was it funny? No way. I've never seen it. I have not watched it. I know Paul Rubens is in it, but doesn't he? He's disgusting though, right? Brilliant. But isn't he doesn't he have zits or he's got some weird thing? He's brilliant in it. Oh. Well, Paul Rubens is great though. He was on 30 Rock. He was great. I mean, he just does great things. There's always rumors that he's going to play at the UCB. They're trying to get him. He almost came to CDR one time, Comedy Death Ray. They almost had him, and something happened at the end. But that would be phenomenal. How much would you pay to see him do a show? Yeah, no kidding. Me too. Hi, folks. I'm just talking to Lily. I'm an idiot. So sad was that. Adding more fuel to the get Lily a mic fire. But honestly, would you want Lily to have a mic during "I'm going to eat pie out of your skull"? What's she going to say? She's just going to laugh uproariously and then collapse. And it would just be louder. Oh. So I understand now where the guy was coming from with the hat. He wouldn't make me a hat that said "fuck chick hoop." At the time, though, again, I'm angry, but I understood it. But then finally, a few years ago, a Chicago comic named John McDonnell, I had told him this on the road one time, and I didn't even remember mentioning it to him. And he goes, "Hey, I got something for you." He gave me a hat that says "fuck chick hoop." So I actually own the hat now. And I actually, I think I did get the hat from my friend Dennis. I think. Did I? I must have. I don't know. I'm confused. But I think I might have gotten it for him, but now I have my own. Basically, is the bottom line. I have it, and you know what's weird? The first place I wore it, Mall of America. I actually booked a flight to Minnesota, got off, drove past their wall of strange underwear right to the mall. I forgot to mention there's one in Minneapolis. Actually, it's in St. Paul. But they're the Twin Cities. They share a wall of strange underwear. Why not? So I'm in high school, and it turns out like I'm going to eat a shaker of salt. And that sounded like a Jimmy Buffett lyric, didn't it? Did that sound like that sounded like looking for my lost shaker of salt, right? I'm eating my lost shaker of salt. So, by the way, can somebody shoot Jimmy Buffett in the face just so white people are sad for 3 days? All right. I don't get it. I don't understand the Buffett thing. I don't know why. It was funny because Pardo and I, I would imagine if you listen to me and you listen to Jimmy, because we were together for a long time, and then you hear us separately, and we hate a lot of the same things. We hate sandals. We hate Jimmy Buffett. We hate those things, and it's not, it just so happened that was why our show was so great, because we hated everything equally. Except I think I hated myself a little more than Jimmy hated me, if I remember correctly. Although, as it turns out, maybe not, since I got whacked. So, but yeah, we hated those things equally. So when you hear me like take off on Buffett, it's not like we just both hate him. And I can't stand just baseball hats and fraternity guys. And it's so funny. I have XM radio, and there's Kenny Chesney has his own station, and it's called Flip Flop Radio or something. And he's trying to be the new Buffett. So these people are like, yeah, man, we got some margaritas and, some sand and some Chesney. Yeah, that sounds awful. Honestly, I don't want to be, that sounds like something you would step in the sand. Oh, Christ, I stepped in some Chesney. That's not good. I can't believe I went barefoot. There's Chesney all over this place. Christ, I need to wear some shoes so I don't step in the Chesney. So. I was going to go to eat the shaker of salt. So I have to prepare myself the next day, and I don't do any research. I just figure, well, it's going to be easy. So the next day, it's almost there's, and again, if you've ever been to a title fight, there's that feeling in the air. So there's this thing, and people are betting and they're laying down money, and it's going to happen. And I go to sit at the table, and there's a full salt shaker, and my only requirement was, and this may have been why I chose to do it in the first place. I said I need 7 chocolate milks. Because I'm going to need that to power down the salt. And so I might have done this whole thing just to get 7 chocolate milks. Like it was just a casual utterance that I dropped, and then I saw a way to work a milk scam. So I'm at the table, and they, I get the salt shaker, and they bring me the 7 chocolate milks. And I have a flair for the dramatic, folks. So I shake my arms out, and then I have the milks, and I line them up in like a semicircle around the salt, and then I shake them up, and I open them. I go, and I'm like, 1, open, 2, shake, open, 3, shake, open. Like I might have taken 6. I completely Ed Norton'd Art Carney these milks. Like just, I did everything I could to milk the moment, and I'm shaking the milk and opening it because I want it open to pound the milk as I'm swallowing the salt. So, all right, these guys are like, let's go, let's rock this. I take the cap off the salt. Salt is filled to the top. I tip my head back. I take the salt shaker, and I pour an entire salt shaker into my mouth to the point where you could see, like I could look down and see the salt out of my mouth. Like it's like a little mountain of salt that because I didn't swallow it. I filled my mouth with the salt. And you could see it above my lips, above my mouth, like it was there. And then everybody's just like, he's not going to do it. He's going to spit it out. There's no way he's going to do it. And I swallowed and then just started chugging milk. Boom, boom. So then it was like drinking salt sludge, but chocolatey, salty sludge, like the worst. But I'm doing it, and I'm swallowing the salt, and I'm drinking 1 milk, 2 milks, 3 milks, and the salt flavor is not going away. And I thought, well, by the 3rd milk, I'm going to get rid of the salt taste, and then the next 4 milks are just, that's like gravy. That's home stretch. 4th milk, 5th milk goes down, still salt. I mean, just brutal. And swallowing salt, it feels like I drink a glass of sand. I mean, it's like it has to go down your throat, even with the milk involved, which turned it into like you know what it turned it into? Like, you remember cocoa wheats or grits? It had that kind of a texture. It was like swallowing salt and chocolate grits. I can't even explain it. But imagine drinking an entire salt shaker and just drinking. So then I get to the sixth and then the seventh milk, and I'm still salted up. I mean, like I can still. It just my mouth is starting. So I go, I need more milk. Of course, I immediately think that's what I need is more milk. I don't know why. What I really need is an ambulance. But I decide more milk is the way to go. So I drink 4 more milks. I pound 4 more chocolate milks. I make someone go get them, and I pound them. And I'm sitting there with a belly full. And by the way, I'd already eaten lunch. I ate lunch before the big salt extravaganza. That's how confident I was. Because I figured if I had a lunch in there, if I had a nice solid base, it would suck up the salt. And we'd be rocking. Everything would be fine. So I finish, I drink the salt, I drink the milks, and it's just like, oh, like nobody can believe that I did it. Money is exchanging hands. I think I actually won $40, which, when you're in high school, that's like a retarded amount of cash. So I won 40, and then other people bet on me, and it was, all this money changing hands. It looked like the back room of a kitchen where guys are throwing dice, or like the belly of a ship, where guys are just these illegal bets on what's going to happen, and all this money's changing hands, and I'm sitting there, and after about I'm going to say like 3 minutes, 3, maybe 5 at the most, I start feeling it. Like I start feeling this weird like rumble, like I when you're going to throw up and your mouth starts to water furiously. I'm sitting there. And it starts in my throat, like my throat starts watering. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it was like my throat started to fill up from saliva or water or something. And I'm sitting there, and I looked at a guy sitting next to me, and I go, all right, are we done here? And the guy's like, yeah, and I go, all right, I'm gonna go throw up. And I wasn't planning on making myself throw up. I just knew I was going to. And I wanted to be calm about it. Again, I'm all about neatness. I don't want to like panic and run out of the crazy lunchroom like a psycho, because then everybody's going to be like, ha ha, Schmidt. So instead I got up and I was very cool about it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take off. I got my 40. Everybody's got their money. Everything's cool. And inside, it feels like a salt fetus is trying to climb out of my body. Like it is the worst. It is the... Inside, like, when you start your car and it goes like, zhoo, 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 that's what I feel inside my body. Like, it's like spasms, and just a salty fist is punching at the walls of my stomach. Just wham, wham. Just like weird waves of salt and anger. And I walk, and in my high school, the lunchroom was central to the school, and then you had to walk in any direction and go through like those doors with the push, chung chung, like a push handle. So I get to that handle and I push it, and as it closes behind me, I run as fast as I can. I sprint to the bathroom, and I get to the bathroom right by the history where all the history classes are, and I duck into the men's room, and it's on its way out, and I get into the stall right when it all flies out. 11 milks, a lunch, and that all comes out, and it's like, and it all is salty. It's all terribly salty, but it's not like uncomfortably salty. It's all just like, but it's salt. It's like, oh my God, here comes this lunch and 11 milks and the salt, which is fine. All of that comes out first, and I'm like, oh, and then the salt comes out, and I mean, it marches toward, my mouth like Sherman through Atlanta, burning everything in its fucking wake. This salt comes charging up, and it is just rampaging out of me, and it's just like that. And I'm dry heaving, but not dry heaving. It's salt. Like pure salt is coming out of me, just like, oh my God. Like I could have. Let's put it this way: if it was winter, I could have done probably 3 driveways by throwing up on them. Because it was just nothing but pure blasts of salt coming up. Some of it dry. That was the scary part. I'd even drank 11 milks. It was in my stomach, and some of it came out like you were just dropping sand on the beach. Like, oh my God, I look like a dragon, like a salt dragon. That's what just like I'm spewing salt, just like this, and I'm probably making weird noises. And I God forbid anybody walked in or walked past, because you know what? Literally, if you walked in the bathroom or walked past, it was such an awkward, unbelievable noise. The only thing you could say would be, boy, that guy's throwing up salt. He's got to be. That's the only thing that could be happening in there. That is the noise you make when you are throwing up a salt shaker and 11 milks. Because it was this anguished cry. Like I was trapped alone in the desert with no help, and I had nothing to do. And and the foxes were going to eat me. And I was just like terrible. It was awful. I don't know. I can't. So yeah, I don't even know if there are foxes in the desert, folks. I have to be honest. I don't know if there are foxes in the desert. I don't know if they eat humans. Foxes might eat humans, don't they? If I was a fox, I would.
Desert fox.
Desert fox. So Rommel ate humans, is what you're saying? That's what it was. Rommel ate people. All right. So, hey, wait, is this recording? There's no bumps. Oh, okay. I just looked at the laptop. Folks, don't ever let me look at the laptop when I'm recording at your house. Hey, so I'll tell you this. I'm supposed to do the Battleship Retention podcast. I'm supposed to tape it this week. Oh, that doesn't mean, so it's probably not out yet. I don't know when it'll be out. Let me just plug them anyway. Battleship Retention is a podcast. A couple of really good guys, David and Tyler, talk about movies. They've had me on once before, and I'm taping a podcast with them this week. And I don't know when it will air. I will let you know, or you can just go ahead and subscribe to their podcast too. What the hell? What are you doing? Besides nothing. You guys can get me at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Go ahead and write me there. Go ahead and write me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. And please, by all means, write me notes telling me what a gluttonous fuck I am and how I'm a jerk and everything else. Or write me with praise and tell me how you can't believe how brave I was to tackle on the salt obstacle. But yeah, that's Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. And also go to MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Go ahead and write a review at iTunes. That would be kind of cool if you did that. I would appreciate it. And also remember to subscribe through iTunes if you haven't already. And get a new, if you're a Zune user, you know what? I don't know if you saw yesterday. They just released the new iPod Nano. So now's your chance. Now's your chance to go leave your Zune out in a field where it would prefer to be, and then run away and like I did with a dog when I was a kid. We had to do that. I didn't want to do that. We took this dog. My mom, we actually did the thing where they drop a dog off in the field and we left, like this dog Rocky. So all you people who are mad that I threw a cat, now you can be mad that we dropped Rocky off in a field. Wasn't my choice. Again, that was my mom. She got high and said, let's dump off the dog. So Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Also subscribe in iTunes, leave a review in iTunes. Remember, you can buy Never Not Funny Season 1, and you can hear me and Jimmy Pardo and Matt Belknap as we all hate on Jimmy Buffett and sandals and flip-flops. Go ahead and buy Never Not Funny Season 1. It is amazingly funny and also a source of income for me. Let's do that. Let's all give Mike some cash. And also go to ComedyFilmNerds.com because I'm going to write a review of a movie that I saw this past weekend that was awesome. And I'll just tell you, it's called Man on Wire. If you get a chance to see it, because it will at once it will inspire you, it will move you, and it will also shame you into realizing you've done nothing of import with your life whatsoever. If you're anything like me, you need to see it because it is fantastic. And Man on Wire, I will write a review. Although I guess I've kind of tipped the review. You don't have to read it, I suppose. Because I probably won't write it. Because, again, I have no drive or work ethic. So that's why I was shamed by this film. So if I wrote the review, it would be just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So get me in all those places and write me all those notes, and I'll be in Scotland before ye. Okay, so. But yeah, I saw Man on Wire. Amazing film. I can't stress enough that you should see it. But maybe see it in a nicer theater than I saw it. Although, the theater I saw it was nice. It wasn't so bad. But Karen and I went. And I should say that Karen made me go see this movie. Like, she found it and was like, we should go. And I, of course, was like, no, I'm doing nothing. Why would I want to go see that film? But then I went, and again, it made me feel bad about doing nothing. So I see it, and it's fantastic. But it's in the theater. It's a theater I went and saw. I told a story in another episode about when I went and saw a movie about Darfur called Darfur Now. And it's this, like, activist indie theater. So, like, it's the popcorn's ironic. It's like that kind of place. So we show up at this theater and we're sitting in these, and they got new seats, thank God, because they used to be small seats, And I hated them because, again, big fat guy. Even when I was crazy fat, I barely would squeeze in. But now, still, just as a fat guy. But now they put in these new seats. Like the arm comes up and you can sprawl out. It's awesome. So the on the screen, the public service announcements are very different from, you go to other theaters and you see commercials for Starburst and for Chevy, and you go to this place and, they have like a monk setting himself on fire, shaming you about the world situation, and, a trivia quiz and a scramble. And when you unscramble the words, it's immigration. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not fun. Who's that fun for? Like the worst theater puzzles of all time. So yeah, nobody wants to see a rebus about AIDS. I mean, I don't want to see that. That's not interesting or entertaining for anybody. It's just depressing and sad. Nobody wants a Sudoku that when you wind up solving it, it's the phone number to a charity organization. I'm not interested in that. I'm just killing some time eating some Milk Duds. Back off. But the best part is they came up with an ad, and it was a guy. It was a naked guy, and he had an inner tube around his waist. And it was like, hey, you were the life of the party last night. Don't forget to get checked for syphilis. And I'm not even kidding. That's what it was. Just because it's in a predominantly gay area of town. It's very close. So I guess those people are having pool romps and then the next day winding up with strange bumps. I have no idea what's happening to those folks. But I understand what it was for. It was, it was a, hey, go get checked. We're all having a lot of fun, but don't forget to get a needle in your ass and make sure you're not infecting others. So this ad comes up probably like 3 different times as we're waiting for the film. And then finally Karen goes, I don't get this ad. I go, what do you mean? She goes, what do you get syphilis from an inner tube? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I go, no, honey, it's like, people who have risky sexual practices the night before had a naked pool party, and then they wound up getting syphilis, but now they have to go get a test. And then as I'm explaining it, I'm going, you're an idiot. Why are you even, you sound worse. I like her explanation a lot better. You got syphilis from an inner tube. But then I said to her, I go, yeah, it's just to go get syphilis. And then there was a beat, and she's like, oh, okay. And we're just sitting there. And then I go, we should go get syphilis tests. And she says, okay, wait a minute. Why? I said, to make sure we don't have syphilis. And she goes, okay. She's eating her popcorn. And she goes, wait a minute. How do you catch syphilis? And I said, judging by the frequency of these ads, I would assume it's sitting in this theater. It was almost like I set her up for it, but I didn't, I swear to God. But I just was like, yeah, you know what, judging from the fact that they're showing these ads a million times, I got to be honest, maybe just being here is a danger to us. Certainly I'm not naked, and I don't have a fucking inner tube, but I feel like I got to go get a checkup after watching a movie in this theater. If you're going to warn me that many times that there's a communicable disease in my future, maybe I think twice about getting the popcorn. Holy God, folks. I mean, seriously, if you got to warn me that many times, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You might as well just have a doctor on call right there in the theater. Because, I'm feeling a little itchy watching this film as it is. Seriously, I'm feeling a pain in my balls just thinking about it as I'm sitting here watching this incredible film that you've warned me so many times. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished.